Hello everyone, this is a Hair Brain Live and the takeover by Slate Hair Education. Today with us is Michael Pixelidis.
Hi everyone. Okay.
So what are we doing today?
So we have the beautiful Brianna with us here today.
Hi guys.
And she's very willing to have a lovely little short haircut. So what we're going to do today is something a little bit interesting. We've gone on quite a few undercuts lately in our live videos, but we're keeping on the same vibe. Brianna came in with an undercut already, so what I've done is I've actually just sectioned off where the undercut was on both sides. So we can see on both sides there was a place already taken out. But what I've done is I've sectioned off the back horizontally, because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have the back connected and I'm going to leave the undercut here disconnected. After that, it's going to become a nice soft textured look on top, so everything will be nice and choppy and soft as well. The way I'm working this is I'm not worrying about my outlines right now. I'm just going to worry about the internal shape. So I'm just cutting the undercut right now. So I'm taking these slightly diagonal sections and I'm working them from shorter in the top to longer at the bottom. So I'm just going to do one section here for you guys to see as well. So I'm lifting the hair up and I'm cutting it shorter at the top, and we're going to gradually have a little bit more length at the bottom. The reason I'm doing this is because I would really like to have the option to personalize the outlines afterwards. I like the softness, I like the way the hair's flicking already. So I'm just trying to keep that same vibe. What I'm going to be doing is, as I'm working towards the back of the head, I'm going to be taking it even shorter so that it all blends in as well. So I'm just going to be working shorter as I get towards the back in the outline. So already we can see that we've maintained that softness in the front. So guys, thank you so much for those of you that are tuning in. It's great to see you guys for another one of our Hair Brain Live takeovers. Let us know where you're from. Let us know where you're tuning in from. And if you have any questions, we'd love to give you a shout out and answer them. So please, if you have any questions, let us know. So again, what I'm doing is I'm doing this soft textured look, and we're using an undercut at the moment. So we're just cutting our undercut right now. So we're just going to make sure that we kept a little bit more length in the front in the outline, and we're just working it to shorter as we get towards the back. So each time I'm going towards the back, I'm getting a little bit tighter in the neck, because I want it to be really nice and tight when we get to the neck area as well. Okay. So the sections are coming just slightly diagonal each time. And we're working in nice and tight. I'm just going to turn around, Chris, so I can come the other way. And tilt. And so what I'm looking here is I'm looking that my fingers are very tight towards the neck. Where my knuckles are pointing is where the length is going to be. So because I want to go really nice and tight, I'm making sure my fingers are very close and my knuckles are pointing towards the bottom of the head. So we're going to repeat the same thing on the second side. So if you're just tuning in, don't worry. You're going to see it again. But I'll just do a slight recap as soon as I've finished here as well for you guys.
What's the name for that haircut? Alexia is asking.
Well, I don't think there really is a name. I mean, what I'm doing underneath is I'm doing something which is a form of round graduation. And then on the top, I'm going to do another kind of rounded layer. So I wouldn't really say that there's a name for it, but that's the vibe that we're going for. We're going for something that's very short and cropped on the bottom, and then something that we're going to make a lot of movement and texture on the top as well. So I think the important thing is about the technique that we're using, as opposed to the name that we're giving it. So as long as you understand that right now I'm creating graduation in the bottom, because what I'm doing is I'm going tighter in the nape and I'm building more weight as I get to the top. So anything that goes from shorter in the nape area and ends up being heavier on top is a form of graduation, because what we're doing is we're building up weight. But it's a good question. So if you have an idea for a name for this haircut, let me know and we can call it that. Who was asking?
Alexia.
So it's called the Alexia haircut. That's for you, Alexia. So now that we've done one side, we're just going to work onto our second side and do the same thing. Can I have some water, please, George? So what we want to do is we want to maintain some of the length in the outline. And one good little trick that you can do is you can spray your comb and then comb the hair to get it wet rather than spraying your lovely client. Okay. So what we're going to do is, thank you, George. We're just going to start from the front and we're going to work in something tighter in the top and we're going to leave more length in the bottom. So we're just going to move some of the hair that we're not using to the side at the moment. I put my finger to have a little bit more control and I start to lift up the hair. So I'm only worrying about this top section for now and I'm coming in nice and tight. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leaving a little bit more length in the outline because I want to have a little bit of hair to play with in the front. And because the rest of the haircut's going to be quite soft and textured, I think it's going to be really nice when we leave that as well. So what we're doing is we're working through these lovely little diagonal sections. So if you tilt your head, we're working through these diagonal sections and we're going for something that goes shorter to longer at the bottom in the front. And then as we work through each section, we're going to be changing the angle slightly each time until we hit more of a graduated angle. So we're going to be leaving length in the front and then we're going to be working in tighter and we're going to work it very tight into the nape. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of scissor over comb for you, maybe even a little bit of clipper over comb for you at the end in the nape area so you guys can see that as well. So again, just working through the front area, going in tighter at the top and leaving a little bit more length to play with at the bottom. So you can see by elevating it out, what I'm doing is I'm just leaving a little bit more hair at the bottom here to play with while going much tighter at the top. So if you guys have any questions, we really appreciate them. We love hearing your questions. So please let us know.
We have people from all over the world. Netherlands, New Orleans, Dallas, Israel. Hello to everybody.
Amazing, guys. So we're coming live to you right now from Cyprus. We're here doing a class on the 16th and 17th, if I'm not mistaken.
15th, 16th.
15th, 16th, we're doing a class, I knew that. So we're just here at this beautiful salon as well, Mojo. And I come here to Mojo to teach very often. I'm the head of education here at Mojo as well. So a big up to all the guys here at Mojo for having me always. Cool, so we're just going in tighter now, as you can see. So each time I did a section, I end up working a little bit tighter. So the angle of my fingers went from higher, and each time it comes round, I'm coming in tighter. So what I want to do is I want to reverse my angle from something which is more of a layered in the front to something that slowly becomes more graduated as I work round. So as I'm going now towards the back, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to end up coming tighter and tighter each time. So there's not a lot to play with here, so I have to be quite intricate with it. But we grab the hair and we start pointing our knuckles towards the neck. So as long as my fingers, my knuckles are pointing towards the neck, I'm coming in a very graduated angle. So the fingers are further away from the head and the knuckles are closer. Therefore I'm coming in tighter and therefore I'm creating more of a graduated feel here. So it's all about creating that graduation in the back. Beautiful. So if we have anyone from Cyprus watching, give us a shout out. And again, making sure that my fingers are pointing outside of the head so I know that I'm coming tighter each time. So then moving the hair, maybe you want to switch with me, Chris, so you can see better. So as we come around here as well, we're just lifting the hair up, making sure that we're nice and tight in the nape area and coming to a little bit more length on the side. So the sides have a little bit more length, and in the nape area we're coming a little bit tighter each time. So what I'll do for you guys, as soon as I'm finished this section, I'll give you a nice little recap of what we've done so far. So I was quite happy with the length at the top here, so I didn't really want to touch it too much. One thing I think that makes you a good hairdresser is being able to take off the right amount, not the one that's going to make the most difference, but anything that's going to be able to give a good refinement and change. Remember, it's not how much hair you cut off, it's what you cut off. It's not what you cut, it's what you leave behind that's really important. So here, I like the little bit of softness we have on Brianna. So just a little recap for you guys. My name is Michael Pizzolidis. I'm from Slate Hair Education. This is George Angelos.
Hello everybody.
Also from Slate, and we have the beautiful Brianna, who's here with us, who's our willing victim, model for today. Sorry. So what we've done is we've just done a little bit of the undercut for you now. We're taking it nice and tight in the top area here, and we left a little bit of softness, and then we've gone nice and tight in the nape area as well. So that was the first part of this haircut, was just kind of refining and touching up the undercut. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take horizontal sections now in order to cross-check. So I'm just going to elevate the hair up, and I'm going to start to dust it as I work my way up, just to make sure it's nice and clean. So you could actually cut this in this way if you prefer as well. You don't always have to do it vertically like I did. Remember, if you can cross-check something horizontally, it means you can cut it horizontally as well and then cross-check vertically. So essentially all I'm doing is I'm going in the opposite direction of what I cut so I can check it better. So essentially what that means is if I cut it vertically, what I'm doing is I'm coming back horizontally to cross-check. But if I had have cut it horizontally, I would come back vertically. So it's simply the opposite of what you'd have already done. And by doing this now, it allows me to just have a nice refined undercut and not have to worry about it afterwards. I can even come in and refine the outlines if I want to now as well, which saves me having to do it afterwards. Sometimes it's very easy to get lost within the undercut. So by finishing off as much of the undercut as possible before you move on the top is just going to allow you to maintain the sectioning, and so you don't get lost of what you've done and what you haven't done. So just getting my fingers in as close as I can while I'm refining this area. Okay, beautiful. So if you guys have any questions about cross-checking, let me know. So again, what we're doing is we're just working through horizontally. The first section I'm elevating a lot because I want to maintain the length I've created. So by elevating that first section, I'm maintaining the length even better each time. And that's really important to understand, that what elevation you use when you cross-check has to be the same elevation you used when you cut the section originally. So I'm trying to use the same elevation that I used when I took the sections vertically. And it's just the dust of a cross-check horizontally. So let us know where you guys are from. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. It's probably about 1.5 years now of monthly Hairbrain Live, so thank you so much to all the community for always tuning in and watching. We appreciate your comments, we appreciate the support, guys. Beautiful. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cross-check the back, and then we're going to be able to move on as well. So I'm just going to take these nice little horizontal sections. Now this was a bit too tight for me to really cut in the original sectioning at the bottom here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a little bit of scissor over comb at the end, and I'm going to refine it as well. Beautiful. So let's just come in a little bit in the corners. So what I'm trying to do is when I'm grabbing the hair, I'm grabbing it in the direction that the hair grows in. So what this means is if I look at Brianna's hair, it moves very much to the side and down. So what I'm doing is I'm not coming this way, I'm going to come in the direction that the hair grows in order that I can grab it properly. If you're not combing in the same direction that the hair grows in, you're probably not going to be grabbing the hair that you want to. It's probably going to slip out of your hand. So I think that's a really nice, easy thing you can do, is you can just work with the direction that the hair grows in if you want to be able to catch it better and potentially not catch the earring as well. That's not always good. Beautiful, so that was it really for the front. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to do a touch of refinement on the outlines here before I move on, because I can see something beautiful coming out here. Brianna's obviously beautiful, so we want to accentuate the facial features as well. So I'm just going to open up the front as much as I can. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push the hair forwards, and I'm going to start to cut onto the skin, but open up this area as much as possible. So because I pushed it forwards, it means it's graduated. And therefore, when it comes back, it's going to be a bit softer. But you see how it's opened up the face shape as well, which is exactly what we want. We want to open up Brianna's face and show off all the features. So if we come to the second side, we're just going to comb all the hair forwards. And again, we're going to be looking to open up the face shape. So we're going to go on coming in quite tight and just leaving the length in the outline. So I haven't actually touched the bottom part. I'm just leaving it for now. So something as simple as that can make all the difference as well, I believe, in the haircut. Just having that slight bit more open, that slight bit softer. Beautiful. So now we're going to move on to the top. I'm just going to take off these 1.5 million clips I put, but I thought it was quite cool the way it looked, so I quite like to leave it. Obviously what we want to do is we want to add as much water as possible, because water is going to give us more control. And whatever we want to do when we're doing a precision haircut is have more control. So the beautiful thing is that even though we're going to cut it in a very structured way, we're going to do a very geometric way of cutting, we actually want to keep everything clean and precise. So even though the end result is going to be more textured and soft, we still want to have a very, very clean way of working. We don't want to get lost in our sections. We want to be precise with the length that we're going for as well. Beautiful. So for those of you that are just tuning in, I'll just do a very quick recap before we move on. I'm Michael Pizzolidis. This is George Achilleos. We're from Slade Hair Education. This is the beautiful Boyana. We've just done the first part of this haircut for you. We've just done the 2 sides of this undercut now. So what we did here was we sectioned off the top and we took these vertical, going on slightly diagonal sections, and what we did was we cut the top shorter and we cut the bottom bit longer, so a bit of a layered angle as we came in to leave a bit of softness here. But as we did our sections and we worked back, we started to change our angle going towards vertical over the ears, and then when we came behind the ears, we changed the angle towards a graduation. That's why it comes nice and tight in the back here. So it comes in that lovely little graduated angle. And that's why the front has that softness to it, because we kind of layered the front with a nice layered angle, and then we brought the back in and we took it tighter. So we went from a layer into flat over the ears and into graduation into the back. And we did the same on both sides, and then we just came in and we cleaned the front. So if you guys have any questions because you're just tuning in, let us know. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the top section now. So the best thing for me when you're doing an undercut and you want to have it connected is to actually start at the area of connection. So what I mean by this is I'm going to actually have the back of this haircut connected. So what I want to do is I want to section off the back and I want to start connecting the back from the bottom up. So as long as the back's connected, I can work more freely at the top as well. So I'm just going to pop in a little bit of a clip. Thanks, George. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm not going to actually worry about the hair that doesn't connect on the sides. I'm only worried about the hair in the middle that connects. So when I lift the hair up, I'm going to look to make sure that in the middle here, I'm blending the haircut. But on the sides, it's going to start to become disconnected at some point, and I'm not worried about that. I'm only worried about blending in the middle area, and then I'm going to worry about connecting the sides afterwards. So we're just taking nice horizontal sections. We're going to bring it, the elevation down because we want to connect it in. So if you imagine these vertical sections like this, each time we're going to pull the hair down to connect, to have this beautiful graduated angle. Right now, Boyana's head is down, which is good for me because it encourages me to build more weight. So I'm just going to pop in one more clip here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to comb from underneath to grab the hair, but then I'm going to comb from the top because it allows me to build more weight. So if you want to build more weight, the best thing is to comb from the top. The top helps you build more weight because you're naturally pulling the head down when you work. If you comb only from underneath, you're going to have a tendency to lift the hair up too high. So actually combing from the top down allows you to build more weight, and having the head forward allows you to build more weight as well. So everything we're doing right now is encouraging us to build more weight because we want to build the graduation in the back of the head. We want to create a nice head shape at the back here. So we're using every trick in the book to get there. So again, I comb from underneath just to grab all the hair, and then what I do is I comb from the top down because it's going to encourage me to build more weight as well. And so right now we're connecting the undercut into the top of the haircut as well. So I'm not worried about the hair on the sides that don't connect. I'm only focusing on the center section that builds the graduation in the back of the head, almost like a graduated bob, let's say, but you're forgetting the sides. So we can see already that it's building the weight quite nicely, so I'm happy. And again, just taking horizontal sections, working all the way up the head. So again, combing up to grab all the hair, and then what we're going to do is we're going to comb from the top down so we can really build the weight again. So guys, let us know where you're from, let us know where you're tuning in from. We love to hear your comments. We love any technical questions you have, or any personal questions you have, it's fine. You can address them to Boyana, she doesn't mind to answer any questions for you. Right?
No.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Cool.
It's cool, you see? So fire away, guys. It's fine. If we get 100 comments, George is gonna strip for you as well tonight. So let's get those comments coming in if you want to see George strip. If we get 500, he won't. So you know, keep them coming. All right, guys. Beautiful. So what we're doing is we're just working up the head now. So again, combing from underneath up to grab all the hair, and then combing from the top down because we want to build the weight as well. So just making sure I could see my guideline each time. So you could see what I did was I just lifted up the hair with my scissors a little bit just to make sure my fingers were on top of the guideline for me. What I'm doing is I'm working across horizontally. Now the sides are not blending in this haircut right now. So you can see the sides, they're not connected to the undercut, but the back is actually blending in with the undercut. So we have a blended back that's working with the undercut, and then we have the sides which are disconnected from the undercut right now. So it's really coming along nicely. Again, I'm just gonna work all the way up the head until there's nothing left. So you can see, guys, that what I like to do when I work is I like to work in phases. This allows me to understand what I have done and what I haven't done. So as an example, my first phase was sectioning off the undercut and cutting the undercut. Once I'd finished that phase, what I moved on to was blending the back into the undercut as well. So now we're blending the back into the undercut. So you can see it's very methodical, and I'm not going to move on until I finish that phase. So by doing that, it allows me to not get lost in what I'm doing. So what I'm doing now is I'm doing a little secret of mine. I'm turning the scissors on that top. So if you come down a little bit, Chris, you can see. So what happens, instead of cutting it like this, what I'm doing is I'm turning the scissors a little bit higher. So what I'm actually doing is I'm cutting almost the top of the section. What this does is it allows the graduation to blend better. So when I comb the hair down, you're not going to get any weight lines in there, because what I'm doing is I'm not cutting in a graduated angle with my scissors. I'm actually cutting over the top in more of a layered angle. So even though we're building the weight, I'm just making sure that I don't have any of those nasty weight lines at the end. So the other thing you can do to avoid weight lines is you can have a lot of tension. The more tension you have, the more things blend. So imagine it like a bit of a spring. Whenever you pull on the hair, when it bounces back, it stops it having all the weight lines. So you can see everything just blends nicely. Even though we have the undercut that doesn't blend on the sides, the back blends nicely through. So I'm keep going, and I'm going to keep going until there's no hair left to cut. This allows me again to make sure that I haven't missed any bits. So if you just hold back for me, thanks. So this allows me to basically finish what I'm doing and not feel like I've missed any bits, or I'm going to find some stray hairs at the end that I don't know where they go. I know that everything I'm pulling back now has to blend into the back. That way we don't have any problems or overhang, and then I can focus on building the rest of it from that point. So again, really nice graduation coming in. Okay, so again, keeping the head down, combing the hair with tension, cutting over the top of the scissors. What I mean by that is using the angle, not graduated like this, but coming over the top to make sure you're grabbing the top of the hair is going to help blend everything as well. Okay. Beautiful.
They like the tip with the scissor.
Yeah. They like it?
Yes.
Oh, good.
From
So-
Catherine David. That's
Okay.
correct.
Catherine. So what we can say is you have to go home and try that as well in your salon, but what you'll find is it allows everything to blend better. So even though now I feel like there's no hair left to cut, I'm just dusting the top of it just to guarantee that I haven't missed anything. Okay, so I knew that there was nothing really to cut in that last section, so this is just a check to make sure by pulling everything into the section and cutting over the top. Beautiful. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys a little bit of a recap for those of you that are just tuning in. Thank you for watching. My name is Michael. This is George.
Hello.
This is the beautiful Diana.
Hi.
So what we've done for you today is we've done a lovely little undercut so far. So we've taken these sections in and we've done a layered angle in the first one, so it comes shorter in the top, longer in the bottom, which leaves a bit of softness. We reversed that afterwards and went into graduation into the back. We just cut the front here to open up the face shape. We then worked through the back horizontally, so each section we took horizontally, we elevated and blended them in each time until we went all the way to the top and there was nothing left. So right now we've done the undercut, we've done the connection in the back, and now we're going to start to worry about what I'm going to do in the front. The first thing I want to do here is I want to understand the outline shape I'm going to do, so the length I'm going to have in the front here. So I'm going to be taking curved sections, and I'm going to be pointing into this because I want to create something a little bit softer, and also because I want to create something softer, I'm going to be elevating slightly. So by elevating, what's going to happen is it's going to allow me to make something softer. As soon as you bring something down onto the head, you're creating more of a one length. And one lengths have a tendency of being very heavy by nature. So what we want to do is we want to allow this to be a little bit softer, so we're going to be elevating, and I'm just going to be pointing. But if you're not sure where this is going to fall, you can always do the drop test. The drop test is you drop your fingers down and you see where it lands. So right now, I can see that it's hitting on Boyana's lovely cheekbones, which are amazing. So for me, when this dries, it's going to really accentuate that, which is what I want. So I go back to where I had my elevation. And now I'm working from the front to the back. Now the good thing is, remember that we already cut the back, so it's already blended. So I know that providing my fingers now connect to the back, it means that the haircut's going to be blended in the back. And what I'm doing is, because I want this to be a softer look, I'm going and pointing straight away just to create a little bit of softness. So I'm coming round and I'm connecting. So now I know that this actually connects to the undercut beautifully that we have already. And I know the length drops where I wanted to on the cheekbones. And it's soft because I elevated and because I point into it. So I'm just going to work each section around, and I'm going to be elevating each time, and I'm going to be connecting it in as well.
So we've got one question.
Yes, we love questions.
Why
Thank
don't you cut your hair?
Ah,
And mine.
this is a good point. We can't find any good hairdressers, unfortunately. So if anyone can help us out with that, it would be good. I think it's always the case. I think hairdressers are the ones who always have long hair, and we're always convincing everyone to go for short hair because it's more fun. But yeah, it's part of the fun of being a hairdresser, I guess. And I also just did have a haircut, by the way. So.
We can't.
Yeah.
It was longer and messier before, trust me. Beautiful. So the good thing of what I've done here is I've actually made sure that the front is now the length that I want it to be. It's sitting on the cheekbones. The undercut is blended, and even if I push it back, because of the way that we revolved it around and we connected it in, so we took it from the length we wanted on the cheekbones, we lifted it up, and we actually brought it all the way around and connected it to our undercut in the back. So we did the back, and what we then did was we brought the front, we found the length we wanted, and we cut it in, and we connected it to the back. We elevated each time a little bit, and we pointed because we want to have soft lines. We don't want to have anything harsh on this one, so we're keeping everything really nice and soft right now. So I've done that on the first side, so now I'm going to come and do the same thing on the second side. So for me, the second side is very important to make sure that I'm doing the right length. And so I have to do the same thing that I did on the first side, which is one of those drop tests I was talking about. So it's just dropping the hair down, seeing where it falls, so you can understand if you're hitting the right mark or not. Can I have a clip, George? Thank you. Perfect.
Okay, and what size is your shears?
So my shears are a 4.5, so they're quite small. What I find is I only actually cut with this part of my finger. It's the only bit that's precise. What I mean by this is when I hit my knuckles, it tends to bend the hair and I don't get a clean line, and my fingers are very gappy. So I don't know if you can see that gap in the middle. So again, I won't keep my tension. So what happens is by having these small shears, it allows me to keep more control. So I do the drop test. I test where it's going to fall on the cheeks. I lift it up and I point into it, because I want to have a soft line. So what I'm doing is by elevating, And by pointing into it, it's keeping everything really nice and soft for me. Now my fingers are starting to point towards the back because I want to connect it to the length I have here. So what that means is my fingers have to start pointing towards that area in order to connect it. So each time my fingers start to point more and more towards the back to make sure that I'm blending that into the back area. So we can see now that it blends in, and that way we get a nice flow if the hair combs back as well. It blends the graduation. So it gives a more versatile haircut. And I think that's something that's really important for me, that haircuts are versatile as well. They shouldn't just be able to be worn in one way. I feel like a good haircut can be worn in many different ways with many different styles as well. And so just, again, my fingers are pointing towards the back because I want to make sure that it's blended nicely in the back. And that way we can have that versatility I was talking about if we wanted to comb the hair back or not. Remember, we did the drop test to make sure it's dropping in the right place as well. And we're just working all the way up the head to make sure that we haven't lost any hair. So again, coming back to what I said before about it being very, very, very important to work in phases. What I did was I did the undercut, that was phase 1. I then connected the graduation in the back, that was phase 2. Now I'm doing my outline lengths on both sides, that's phase 3. And then I'm just going to grab everything over to make sure we haven't missed anything. And I'm going to elevate up as well. So again, as I work towards the back, I make sure my fingers are pointing towards the length that we've created in the back so that it blends nicely. Beautiful. And that's great. Amazing. Looking good. So yeah, already I just love the softness. I love the fact that we have these soft bits that can come out. You can move it away and you can have the undercut coming out as well. So I feel like these kinds of versatility are really important. So what I've done is after I've done the undercut, I've done the back area, I've done the sides on both sides. I'm now going to work through internally the top. So I want this to be a soft look, which means that I want to do a layered look. And so I point into the hair when I do the outlines because it's very hard to create a strong outline into a soft one. So I always start with the outline softer if I want a softer look. But when it comes to the layering, I work very clean because a layer by nature is actually quite a soft thing. So it's a removal of weight. So by going quite blunt with it, it's still going to look soft and I can always point at it at the end. So again, I'm going to do a drop test. So you'll see that when I work, I do this a lot. Where do I want this hair to fall? So if I lift the hair up and I put it to where I want it to fall, the length I want it to fall, I can lift it up and understand how short I can go in terms of where the hair is going to fall when it drops down. And so once you've decided the length you want to go for, you can then start working your way up. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a more rounded layer. What I mean by this is it's going shorter in the front and towards longer in the back.
So we got a question and a comment from Amber.
Okay, good. Hi Amber.
I'm new here. Where did you go to school actually? And he's a great teacher.
Thank you. So I trained in many different places. I started my career at Tony and Guy actually. I then did my just first few months there, just learning in school, NVQ. After that I left and I was very fortunate to work in some really good salons in London. After I finished that, I decided I wanted to go work at Sassoon. So I went and worked at Sassoon for a few years, becoming a teacher there and working at the academy. And after finishing, deciding to finish working at Sassoon, I created Slate with my business partner. And what we do is we teach hair education around the world. So if anyone's interested in seeing more of us, you can always search us at Slate Hair Education and see the other hairbrain lives we've done. Or you can go on our website at slatehair.com and see a little bit more. So that's it. It's looking good. So we can see the softness coming in. We can see the movement already within the hair. Just by layering it, it opens everything up and it frees up the hair to have movement again. So we're pulling everything right now to the center it's a much safer thing to do. And what I'll be doing is I'll be showing you how I work through horizontally afterwards, which will change the shape. So essentially now all I'm doing is focusing on creating that type of layering that I'm looking for within the front. And then I'm going to afterwards work into my shape as well. I have to be a little bit careful that I'm not cutting into the last section, because that is my outline, because remember we have an undercut. So just working through.
We got the coming from Sofia piece. Come to Cyprus.
I'm in Cyprus. Sofia, I'm in Cyprus right now. We're teaching a class on the, when are we
15
teaching?
and 16, Sunday, Monday.
Sunday, Monday, we're teaching a class here in Cyprus. So if you're interested in joining, just send us a message on our Slade Hair Education Facebook page. And I think we've still got another 2 places left on the class, so we'd love to have you. Beautiful. So we're just working through the top of the head as well. So you can see I'm just pushing everything towards the center, and I'm connecting in my layering now. And it's creating this nice soft look. So we've got that lovely little fringe area coming in, we've got the lengths on the sides, and we're going to even go back in and create more softness as we work. So just changing over this side, and what I'm doing again is as I'm working through this nice rounded layer, so it goes shorter in the front, ends up longer in the back and connects to our graduation that we've already created, I'm just pulling each section towards the center right now. Beautiful. And so what I'm doing is when I'm pulling it in, I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not cutting the last section off. So what you can do is, again, you can do a pinch test. If you grab the hair and you see that it's not touching, that means we're okay. If you saw my fingers here, it means I would be cutting my outline. So you can always do what I call a pinch test. Just grab the hair you're thinking about and see where it falls. I know it's not a very technical term, but it really works well. So sometimes not being so clever about it and just being a bit practical, I believe helps you a lot with your work. So if you're not sure where something falls, just grab it and pick it up and see where it falls in your fingers. And that will give you a really good idea of where it's going to end up at the end of your haircut as well. Beautiful. So I'm just going to take all the hair up just to do one last check, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through horizontally after this and see how the haircut's falling as well. Because right now we've removed a lot of weight from the middle of the haircut, but we haven't removed any weight from the sides yet. So by working through horizontally, it's going to allow me to now soften this haircut a little bit as well. You okay there, Brianna?
Yeah.
Yeah? She's doing good. All right. Nice.
Excited.
Yeah, me too. So just give it a nice little clean. There we go. So again, one of the best things you can do for control is water. So water is going to allow you to have more control of the haircut when you work. So for me, it's very important if you want to have a nice, precise haircut. It can still be soft, but we're talking about a precise haircut. You want to have as much water as possible in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a cross check from the middle. So what we did was we did a nice little layer which went from shorter in the front and worked into flatter at the top and then came round into our graduation in the back. So it's graduation into shorter lengths in the front. So it's a round layer into graduation. Now what I want to do after that is I want to start cross checking horizontally and making sure we're balanced on both sides. So I start from the center when I want to have something balanced on both sides. And then what I do after that is after I've checked that the center's okay, I'm going to then check that the sides don't have too much weight in them either. So I'm just working through the center now horizontally, and I'm focusing on the center to make sure it's the same on both sides. So I'm not worrying about the hair that I see in front or behind of me when I pick it up. So I'm not looking at the hair going, oh my God, there's a bit of a shorter piece behind. I'm not worried about that. All I'm looking from left to right is that I have a really clean section and clean cutting line. So my cutting line is clean from left to right, and then I'm happy. And this is a great way of cross-checking it and make sure the balance is okay.
We've got some people wanting you in Texas, in New York.
Amazing. Yeah, we had an amazing time in New York. We were nominated for the Hairbrained Video Awards, so that was an unbelievable time we had. We did an amazing live haircut for the Elevate hair show they did out there. That was a lot of fun, and the really lovely guy, Aaron Johnson, asked me to come and do a performance with him at IBS on the main stage for his collective, so that was a really fun experience. So guys, I can't wait to see you in New York again soon. It was an awesome experience. And we've just finished our latest collection as well, so that's going to be out in early October, so you can stay tuned for that. We've just had a really amazing photographer working with us, and we can't wait to show you guys the end results. It's a bit different from anything we've ever done before. I'm sure you guys are going to like it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just softening the weight from the side. So what I did was I worked from the top, and now I'm connecting from the side, so I can see the length of the outline that I don't want to cut. And when I pick up the hair, I'm making sure that the last section, I'm not cutting it. So I'm not cutting the last section because that's my outline, but I wanted to make sure the haircut's nice and soft. So remember, we cross-check the center. So all we want to do now is connect from the center to the outline. So we have the center in this area, and we have the outline at the bottom here. So what we can do is we can lift that all up in one go, and we can start to see. Now, the easiest way to see things is with the comb. It means that your hands are more free. So you can start to see that this is dropping out, so that means we can cut it quite short to connect to that area already. So we can take out this corner we have here, and corner means weight. So just try and always remember that a corner means weight. So if you see a corner somewhere, it means that it's got weight in it. And if you don't want the weight, you can just simply remove the corner. And so as we get towards the fringe area, we don't want to cut too much of the length off. So again, we're just being a little bit careful with how much weight we're removing. And in fact, there's no corner to take off anyway. So we've just made it a little bit softer as we've worked around. I'm just going to work a little bit from the back to the front as well. Beautiful. So it's just making sure that we have a softness within the outlines now, because we're making sure that there's no corner here at the bottom. And now it blends really beautifully as well with the undercut we have. Cool, so that's one side done. Now we have to do the same on the second side. And what I'll do is after I've finished this second side, I'll do a full recap for you guys as well. Okay, so again, what we're looking to do now is we've done the layering through the top. It's a round layer, so it goes from short in the front, ends up flat at the top, and then works into graduation into the back. What we did was we cross-checked the middle, but now we've got the outline length and the layer, and we're going to find a corner in the middle, and when we remove the corner, everything's going to end up being softer, because remember, corners are weight. So we take our section, we lift it up, we can see where the outline is, we don't want to cut that, but we want to get rid of that heavy corner that we have. So we just work our way all the way back to the top. So again, curved sections around the head, from the front, and from the bottom to the top. Find the corner and start to remove it, because we don't want the extra weight in the haircut. So we make sure that also the top is flat, so it kind of comes curved round. It doesn't come into any points. The points are the weight that you want to avoid at all times when you're trying to go for something soft. If you're trying to do a nice strong square haircut, then by all means leave the corners. But remember, corners are weight, and they always build up the head shape. So if you want to slim the head shape down as well, the corners are not going to be a good idea. And so I'm working all the way up to the top to make sure I'm flat at the top there as well. Okay, beautiful. So last few sections here. And then what we can do is dry and start to personalize this haircut as well. Cool. Beautiful, guys. So I'll give you a little bit of a recap before I move on. This is the beautiful Brianna.
Hi guys.
I'm Michael Pizzolidis. This is George Achilleos.
Hi everybody.
And we are here from Slade Hair Education. And what we've done for you today is a nice little short textured haircut with an undercut. We just softened the undercut by cutting in the, from shorter at the top to longer at the bottom, making something nice and soft so we can play with the outlines. We then reversed it into a tighter graduation within the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of scissor over and clipper over comb for you afterwards as well. We then, once worked through both sides of the undercut, we came from the back and took horizontal sections and connected it in. So we worked through horizontal sections all the way up to the top until there was absolutely no hair left to cut into the back, that we ran out of hair. After we had no hair to cut in the back and the back was connected, we started by taking curved sections and letting the hair fall in the place we wanted to see it, and then picking it up from there and pointing into it to keep a softer outline. And then we curved this round, and we started to curve it round to connect to what we had already cut in the back, the graduation that we had just created. So we connected the front to the back. We pulled everything over, and we were elevating each time as we went up. We did the same on the second side. After that, what we did was we took a vertical section from the middle, and we connected the front shorter. So we went from shorter, and then we ended up having longer lengths as we went more towards the back. And then we created, and we connected, our lovely graduation. So after we've done the center section and we brought everything and connected it, we then connected the sides. So we brought from the center and we connected it all the way into the sides, therefore creating a nice little bit of softness. And what we want to do now is we want to do a nice little dryer. The last thing I'm going to do here is just make sure there's no extra weight in the front. So I'm going to lift up this section here. I'm going to pull it forwards, and I'm just going to cut this area to make sure it's nice and soft, and so there's no weight. I'm actually encouraging this haircut to sit off the face, because remember, short hair always pushes long hair away, and so by doing this, we're just allowing this haircut to more naturally sit off the face as well, which I like the way it does. Beautiful. So let's get you dusted off a little bit, and we'll start to dry, and then we'll start to refine as well the haircut. So we have an amazing Dyson that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. So let's see how lucky we are today. So what I'm doing today is just a wrap dry for you. So I'm just wrapping the hair around the head shape as I go. So just combing the hair down and then to the side, down and then to the side. And what this does is it just allows the hair to curve around the head shape. So if you imagine what's the perfect size brush for your head? Well, your head. So it really takes a nice curvature and fits around the head shape nicely. Okay, so just combing everything over the top. How's that, Brianna? Is it too hot? It's okay?
No, fantastic.
It's okay? Good, I like that. So just moving the hair from left to right. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to do the same thing on the second side as well. So we're just going to spin the chair around, and we're going to do the same thing on the second side. So again, just combing the hair forwards and down. So we start to see the shape coming in nicely, I think. So if you guys have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Something else that I want to say is we always go live on our own Facebook page afterwards to do a detailed head sheets. So if you see the head sheets we have over there, we're going to be filling those in afterwards, showing you a really detailed explanation of how we did this haircut. So if you're a bit of a hair nerd and you like some head sheets as well, tune in on Slade Hair Education's Facebook page, and you'll be able to see in real detail how we did the haircut as well.
And it says beyond the hair dryer.
Oh yes.
Because you broke the dice.
Yeah. Well, it works now. So this is my wife's hair dryer and I broke it, and that's why I get to keep it. I told her that I broke it, but now she's watching.
It's your own fault.
It's my own fault, exactly.
So, let him use it.
Exactly. So if any of you guys have partners that are hairdressers, let us know your funny stories. Have you ever borrowed some of their equipment and not given it back? It's okay. You can admit it now. So I think it's looking really nice. Yeah, coming along nicely. So we can see that, you know, we can either wear it down and keep this softness to it as well. We can tuck it behind the ears and expose a little bit more of the undercut even. We can wear it all more wessy. So we have a lot of different options of styling as well. What I'd like to do now is focus a little bit more on the undercut in the back. So just really fading it in. George, do you mind getting me a pair of mini clippers, please? Perfect. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to be working through this back area and just doing a little bit of scissor over comb to make sure it sits nicely. I'm just going to give it a touch more of a dry. Okay. So I'm going to start with scissor over comb, but then I'm going to move on afterwards to some clipper over comb just to show you how I work this. So first I'm going to fade in the bottom just to get it a little bit tighter, and then I'm going to show you how to blend in the top a little bit more as well with a change of head position. So one thing you want to do is you want to take the scissors and you want to curve them a little bit more towards this part of your finger. So by turning it this way, you're locking it more in your fingers. You want to put the thumb in, not all the way in, just a little bit over the top, and that way you can move up and down and keep it very secure. When you put the comb in, you want to comb down first so it's combed in the right direction. You want to then open and close the blade before you even get to the hair, so you're not missing any bits basically. So you're cutting it even before you get in. You can see that my comb is moving quite slowly as I'm blending everything in. So we work from the bottom all the way up. So again, just starting to cut before we even get close to the hair, just to make sure we haven't missed any bits. And what I do is I normally turn the comb on the outside. So what I mean by this is, instead of combing this way always, I actually start turning it the other way. And what this does is it keeps the hair on the end and allows me to dust a little bit and not take too much. Because right now I'm trying to blend in some weight, so I don't want to go too tight with it as well. So again, combing from the side, cutting it before I even get close to it as well. Going very slowly. If I feel like I need to cut one bit more, I'm going to stay in that position until I'm done. So you should be really dusting the hair. That's what it's all about. It's about dusting the hair. So again, if you want to get rid of some weight that you see, you can always turn the scissors on the outside. So instead of coming in underneath in this graduated angle, you can come over the top as well, like we were showing you when you were cutting it. And that allows you to really have more control of getting rid of the weight. Now here, it's not going to blend perfectly because it's an undercut and therefore it's not actually connected. So what you can do is, if you want it to connect a little bit better, you can always just lift it up and just ever so slightly point into the bit that's no longer connected, because this area is disconnected from the rest of it. So we just want to keep it nice and soft. So I find always working at least first with my scissors keeps everything a little bit softer. And you're going to see what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust over the top with a pair of mini clippers afterwards, just to make sure I haven't missed anything. So again, working with the comb in, starting to work the scissors before I even get into the hair, turning the comb out, and I hold it quite close because I never want to go further than my finger because I lose control of the comb. So what I want to do is I want to work with my scissors just sitting on the edge of the comb as well. Okay, and a secret, if you want to help build a little bit more weight and you want to get rid of any kind of lineage you have, you just put the head a little bit back, you come from underneath, and you just filter through again. And this just helps you really build everything out a little bit more. Okay, beautiful, thank you. And then what we'll do is we'll use the clipper over comb. So a little mini clipper, and we just fade in the bottom to make sure the outline is soft, because we don't want to go for any kind of harsh outlines. So we just want it to fade in nicely. So first thing I do is I actually fade in the outlines. Okay, and then what I'll do afterwards is just pop your head a little back. I'll just come over the top and I'll just clip over the comb. And this is just really a dust, a last little second dust. Just to make sure you haven't missed any hair. Okay, beautiful. So I think that's really nice build up of weight, nice head shape as well. It's looking good in the mirror, I'm liking it. What do you think, Brian?
Love it.
Yeah, it's looking cool. So what you can do now is if you feel like it needs, you can do some personalizing. I mean, personally, I think it's looking really nice anyway, but you can always add a little bit more detail if you feel like you want to. If you feel like it needs to be a little bit softer as well, you can always do a little bit of pointing as well, just to create a little bit more softness in it. So what I'll do is I'll take some curved sections around the head, and just clip that away. And what we'll do now is we'll elevate this section, and what I can do is I can see where the weight is myself. But if you're not sure, what you can do is you can pick the hair up with the comb and you can see where the most weight is. So at that point where the most weight is, I'm just going to soften this haircut out a little bit more. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to change the shape. I just want to remove a little bit of weight internally. So a corner is weight, but a corner is also a structure of a haircut. It's part of the shape. So if you remove all of the corners, what you'll end up doing is you'll just have a reflection of the head shape. So if you like the head shape, that's fine, but no one has a perfect head shape, let's face it. So by leaving the corners in, you're helping keep the shape that you've created, but by pointing into it, you're actually just softening the haircut as well. So it allows you to keep the shape while softening the haircut is pointing into where the weight is and helping everything just blend a little bit better. I like that. So it just have that little kick of softness as well, which I really like. Beautiful. So again, we do the same thing on the second side. So now if we want, we can comb it over. And again, just take a nice curved section, pull the hair back. Guys, if you like the video, we really appreciate if you share it. It means a lot to us. we try and spread the word as much as possible. So we thank you all for watching, and if you've made it this far, please like and share. We really appreciate it. So again, just softening out that corner. And so we pick up the hair, we find where the weight is, and we just soften it out with a little bit of pointing. That's all. Beautiful. And this is the last section where we're going to have some weight. And you can see I'm not really deeply pointing it either. I'm just softening the corner more than anything else as well. So I think we deserve to blow all this hair off and then do a final recap for you guys. So really nice and soft. Beautiful. And so I'll just give that a little flick there. We hope you guys like it. Let us know what you think as well. I'm just going to grab a little bit of product while you guys check out the haircut. Okay. So I'm just mixing a little bit of product in my fingers. I'm going to ruffle up the hair just to give it a little bit more texture as well. You can see that we can style it a little bit more back, and we can start to expose that undercut coming out as well. So we can, because we've done something very balanced, we can do something which sits from left to right. So we can really move it around as well, which I like. As I said before, haircuts should be versatile, so you should be able to move them across from left to right, and they should be able to keep a certain element of softness in them as well. But I like that little bit of texture. Beautiful. Yeah, let's see in the mirror. It's looking nice. Cool. So what I'll do for you guys is we'll do a little recap as well now. All right, if you'd like to stand up for me, please. Cool. Can I have the little neck brush, please? Yeah. Very cute. So what I'll do is I'll just give you a little bit of a recap. So first of all, I'm Michael. This is George.
Hello.
This is the beautiful Brianna. So what we've done for you today is we've started this haircut with the undercut. So if we move some of this hair out the way, you see the undercut sitting at the bottom here. So Brianna can always push it away from her face as well and have that lovely little area exposed if she wants to bring it out, or she can wear it nice and soft and messy as well. So we first did the undercut where we took it in and we took it tighter in the bottom. So you can see the section comes from the top all the way down and connects into the back. So it's short all the way underneath and connects through to the top as well. What we did after that area was we worked through the back and we started to connect. So we'd already done the underneath area, but we started to build our graduation. So we did this by taking horizontal sections and working all the way up till there was no hair left. So after we had done the undercut, connected the back in, we then brought the length in the front here, sat it on the cheekbones so we can bring out these amazing cheekbones of Brianna's, and then we worked our way up as well all the way. So we connected from the side here, and we come in all the way into the back, and the same on the second side, we brought it down, we connected it in, and we connected all the way to the back. So the back actually blends in to the undercut. If she wants to push it back, it blends in as well. After we did that, was we came from the front. We decided on the length we wanted in the front, so we wanted it to sit around the forehead as well. So we decided to then actually lift the hair up, see where it's going to fall, and elevate it higher. And then what we did was we cut a nice rounded layer, so it comes shorter in the front and it comes towards longer in the back and connects into the graduation. We then did a cross check horizontally over the top, and we connected the top, rounded it into the corners on the side. So by doing this and connecting the layers all the way down, it allows us to have this softness that you see, because it's not heavy, because it had the corner removed. We did the same on the second side, and that was it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been amazing as always. We will see you next month for our next Hairbrain Live on the 9th of October? Yes, that's what month we're in. So if you guys do like this haircut, why don't you check out our head sheets? We're about to do them for you live now. They're already waiting for us in the back here. So we're going to be going live on Slate Hair Education's Facebook page. That's Slate Hair Education's Facebook page. We'll see you there in about 5 minutes, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Good night from us. See you soon.
Bye.